I found a house in Roblox that wasn't supposed to exist, and someone was living inside. I was exploring an empty server late at night. There wasn't a single player online. Then I noticed something weird. One house had all its lights on. I checked the map. The house wasn't there. I thought it was just a glitch, so I walked toward it. But as soon as I reached the front door, the lights inside suddenly turned off. Then someone inside knocked 3 times. I froze. Then it knocked again. But this time, I heard a voice. It said my username. I never told anyone I was here. I checked the player list again. There was still only one player. Then the front door opened by itself. And inside, I saw my own Roblox character sitting on the couch. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The copy didn't move. It just stared at the TV. Then the TV changed. It was showing me. But the camera angle was impossible. Someone was recording me. I looked behind the couch. There was nobody there. Then the copy finally looked at me and smiled. Then the copy said something only I should have known. It told me about my first game. And it mentioned my first username. I never told anyone that. I asked one question. I asked, "Who are you?" It didn't answer. Instead, it pointed upstairs. There was a locked door up there. And written on the door was my username, with one word underneath. Original. I opened the door and found a room filled with hundreds of pictures of me. Every picture was different. Some showed me sleeping. Some showed me playing Roblox. But one picture made me stop. It showed me standing outside this house, and the photo was dated tomorrow. I dropped it. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around, and the copy was standing in the doorway. But this copy wasn't smiling anymore. It looked terrified of something behind me. I slowly turned around. There was nothing there. Then one of the pictures fell. It was a picture of this exact moment, but there was something else in it. A person standing directly behind me. I looked behind me again. Still nothing. Then my copy pointed at the ceiling. And whatever was above us had been watching both of us the entire time. I stepped backward. The eyes disappeared. For a few seconds, everything was silent. Then the TV downstairs turned on. We ran downstairs. The screen showed a live camera feed. And then we saw ourselves. There were 3 of us on the screen. Then the third figure on the screen slowly raised its hand. And then someone touched my shoulder. I couldn't move. My copy was staring behind me. I finally turned around. Nothing. Then I looked at the TV. The hand was still there on the screen. Then the copy pointed at the screen. The screen started glitching. Then the TV showed one message. You are not the original. And when I looked at my copy, he was holding the same message on his screen. I asked him what it meant. He just pointed at the front door. Someone was standing outside. Then it started walking toward us. My copy grabbed my arm. He pulled me toward the basement. I didn't want to go down there. But then I heard the front door slam. Then I realized the basement door had a lock on the inside. Then something knocked 3 times from the other side of the basement. We both froze. Then we heard breathing, but it wasn't coming from the door. It was coming from behind the wall. My copy found a hidden switch. He flipped it. There was a secret room behind it. Every monitor showed me. Then one monitor showed something that hadn't happened yet. The screen showed me turning around, but I wasn't going to do that yet. I told myself it was just a recording. Then the timestamp changed. It wasn't a recording. It was predicting what I'd do. So I decided to trick it. I walked toward the opposite wall, but the screen changed before I did. It knew I was trying to trick it. Then every monitor went black, except one. Then the face on the screen opened its eyes, even though I hadn't. I stepped away from the monitor. The face followed me. Then it smiled. I wasn't smiling. Then text appeared underneath the face. It said, "Replica detected." I looked at my copy. He looked at me. Then my copy whispered, "I'm not the replica. You are." I thought he was lying. Until the monitor showed my real username. That was my account. But the login history showed something impossible. Someone had been using my account for weeks. Then I noticed the avatar. It was wearing the same red shirt, same clothes, same face, same everything. Then the account sent a message. It said, "Stop looking for me." Then another message appeared. "He's behind you." We turned around, and for the first time, we saw what had been following us. It looked exactly like us, but there was one difference. It had no username. It wasn't a player. Then it moved. My copy grabbed my hand. We ran through the secret tunnel. Then the tunnel disappeared. Then my copy looked at me and said, "We never left the house." But this time, there were 3 chairs waiting in the living room. We only came here as 2 people. Neither of us had brought that 3rd chair. Then the TV turned on by itself. The screen showed us sitting here, but there was someone sitting in the 3rd chair. We looked at the chair. It was empty. Then the chair moved. Then something invisible sat down. And then the invisible person whispered my username. My copy heard it too. Then the TV showed the same room, 20 years earlier, and there were 2 boys sitting in the chairs. They looked exactly like us. Then a 3rd figure walked into the old room. The same thing had happened before. And then the footage showed what happened next. The screen suddenly froze. Then the TV showed the date, and it was tomorrow. Tomorrow, there won't be 2 of us anymore. I asked him what he meant. He pointed at the 3rd chair. He said, "It wants one of us." Then the TV showed 3 possible endings. In the first one, my copy disappeared. In the second, I disappeared. But the 3rd one was different. There would be 3 of me. Then the TV asked me one question. "Which one are you?" I knew my answer until my copy gave the exact same answer. We both said, "I'm the real one." Then the TV started showing our memories. Every memory was exactly the same. Same childhood, same friends, same memories. Then the screen showed something I didn't remember. There was a 3rd version of us, and the 3rd one was walking toward the house. Then I realized who the 3rd one was. He was the first person who ever entered this house.